Hi Stampers, this is Kim at Great Inspirations. Thanks for being here today. I have 3 card layouts to share with you today, but they're really very similar because what we're going to do, we're going to just cut some strips of cardstock and arrange them different ways. And this is sort of a color blocking layout. Can you do this with pattern paper? Of course you can. You can do this layout with the cardstock, with the pattern paper, whatever you care to use. I just had a whole lot of cardstock scraps. I thought, well, let's get rid of those. So as you can see, I've chosen some very bright colors and matted them and accented the cards with black. And all I did was take some 1 1/4 inch strips and just cut them. They're all the same width, but I cut them different sizes. For this card, I used 1 1/4 inch by 1 1/4 inch squares, and I just covered a backing that I made that was 3 3/4 by 5. Matted it on the black mat that's 5 1/4 by 4, and then matted it on the A2 card base. That's all I did. But what I really like about these 3 cards is I was able to emboss. Just used an embossing folder to add a design to my card and sort of a focal point. And then just a die cut happy birthday and some enamel dots. And that's what I did with this one. Again, I used an embossing folder. It has a design. This is like a seashell design, whereas this one was the butterflies. And then on this one, there's a floral pattern there. So what I did for this, as I said, 1 1/4 inch squares, and it takes 12. For this one, I cut the strips at 1 1/4 inch by 5 inches, and it takes 3. Excuse me. And for this one, I cut 4 strips at 3 3/4 by 1/4. And as you can see, if you were to add up 1 1/4 4 times, you would get 5. And it's the same thing. If you add up 1 1/4 3 times, you get 3 3/4. So that's why these specific measurements work so well for that 3 3/4 by 5 inch layer of your card. So let me talk a little bit about, do you have to emboss it? Because I know some of you may be saying, I don't have any embossing folders. Well, no, you do not have to emboss it. I'll show you some other cards that I made. And let's see here. Here is one right here. I have my 3 strips that are 1 1/4 by 5. I've just put a greeting over the top of them. And if you look very closely, you will see there's a bit of a design running through the paper. Well, what I did when I created this color block panel, I simply took a stamp. It was a background stamp, and I inked it with embossing ink, so clear ink, and I just stamped it over this entire panel. So there's a very subtle design that runs through all 3 strips of the panel. So another thing you can do is it's another background die that it's called Dictionary, and I just inked it up with black ink and stamped my color blocked panel. Now, if you don't have a background stamp, that's okay. Just use either the embossing ink or black ink or whatever color you want to use. And once you've created your 3 3/4 by 5 inch panel, just stamp over it. You can use black, like I said, you can use the embossing ink, whatever color works best on your cardstock that you've chosen. So there are some ideas if you do not have embossing folders. Now let's work on putting one together. Now I already did the 1 1/4 inch squares on here and the 1 1/4 by 5 inch strips. So what I have 4 strips that are 1/4 inch by 3 3/4 inches, and I have a piece of printer paper. So I'm going to take a little mat here and we're going to just glue these down. Now I'm going to use liquid glue. You can use whatever kind of glue you like. If you want to rather use like a tape runner, that'll be fine too. I like to use my liquid glue for this because there's kind of some time to wiggle it around if I need to. So all we're going to do is line this up right with the edge of that paper. The top edge, down at the bottom, and here along the top. And now we'll do the second one. And once you get this first one down, the rest of them are really easy. Now, if you are able to look at your card and put these strips down, leaving an equal border all around, I admire you, because I really can't do that. I have to have a guide. So I use this technique quite often. And I use the printer paper because it's not heavy, so it's not going to add a lot of weight to your card. Now, sometimes what I do, I would take, for example, we're going to put this on some black cardstock, and what I would do sometimes is I would use a temporary adhesive and put them in place, and then I could move them around. But when there's a lot of pieces, especially with something like this, I prefer to cut the piece of printer paper the size I need and just make my panel. Nobody will know it's there. Just bump this right up against the blue one. And there we go, we have one more. And as far as color goes, I like bright colors, but you can use any colors you want. Any at all. Just use 3 to 4. This one, took 3. The other 2 I've used 4 colors on. But you can use, 2, 3, 4, however many colors you want. And there is our panel. So the next thing we're going to do is put this on our little mat here. This is our black mat, so we need to put this on here. Now, if you were going to emboss this or to stamp on it, now would be the time to do that. But this one, I'm not going to do anything to it, so you can see how that looks in case you really don't want to stamp on it or emboss it, because it looks great any way you do it. It's very eye-catching, I think. And it uses up those cardstock scraps. And as I said, you can also use pattern paper. I know most of us have a whole lot of pattern paper scraps. So there's that. And then I have a card base right here. And this card, where's the one? Right here. This is the one that has the strips the same length and width. But this one, of course, is a portrait card. Let's turn this one to be a landscape. In all of these, you can turn this to be a landscape. And of course, the squares, they can be a landscape. It's up to you. So I have a card base here, and inside I've put some white cardstock and some more strips of scrap cardstock just to kind of dress it up a bit. Now we'll just put glue on the back of this. and get it on that card base. And there you go. And I do have a greeting right here. It says thank you. I think I'll put that right there. Oh, I don't want to, I'll be right back. I'm gonna wipe off the glue. I want to put that on dimensionals. Here we go. I just took a paper towel and wiped a good portion of that glue off. So I'll put some dimensionals on here. Just pop it up a little bit. Take off the backings. And you can put this wherever you want. You can put it clear over here. I'm going to move it over this way just a bit. And so there's that. And I have, let's put this pin back in the glue where I have it everywhere. There we go. And I have a few little embellishments to put on here. Let's see, let's put one there. There's some smaller ones. And there we go. See, whether you have the embossing on it or, you know, the stamping, I don't think it matters. I like them all. So here's the one with the embossing ink. I know that might be really hard to see. And here's the one that I used the black ink. And of course, this one that we just made, no ink. And then here's the three that I made with the embossing. And I know for those of you who watch regularly, did I make my Christmas card for this week? Well, you know I did. It's a little different than these. I still used my 4 pieces of cardstock, but I used a Merry Christmas word cover plate and just covered over it. And it is on a white card base. And then you can open it up, and I didn't put anything inside. I just stamped a greeting. So there is my idea for these 3 color blocking layouts to use up your scraps of cardstock. And as I said, you could also use them for your pattern papers. And measurements, pictures, supplies I used, all of that will be found on my corresponding blog post. And the link to that blog post is in the description of this video. I'm so happy you joined me today. Until next time, stamp happy.